Thank you, everyone, for your patience while we're dealing with technical problems. They all seem to be observed. So, the next session, Haneen Zoabi is going to be talking about how citizenship is used as a colonial tool. Haneen is a Palestinian politician from Nazareth. She served as a member of the Knesset, the Israeli parliament, for 10 years between 2009 and 2019. She was also politically persecuted for her part in the Mavi Marmara, the Freedom Flotilla, which took place in 2010 to break the siege upon Gaza. I'm honoured to have Haneen speaking with us, and I've spoken enough already, so we'll just let Haneen set off now. She'll speak for about 30 minutes, then there's time to ask questions and make contributions. Off you go.
Thank you, Phil, very much. And I would thank the organizers and also the audience who attended this. Just very shortly about my personal feeling. After 1 year of genocide, the Palestinian asked himself, what is the efficiency, what is the usefulness of talking if the genocide has went on for more than 1 year? So is there anything that we can really do for Gaza? And personally, I have a very hard feeling when I talk, because sometimes even I feel that I talk because I don't have anything efficient to do, because in front of genocide, I must do something really has an impact, and not just participating in conferences. But the answer should be that we should define the meaning of our talks, the meaning of our discussion, the meaning of our panel. And we should agree that after 1 year of genocide, we really understand Israel as a colonialist project. At least the more than 43,000 Palestinians dead under the rebels and in front of famine and under targeting of the health system, we will find ourselves with more than maybe 200,000 Palestinians and a total demolishing and annihilation of Gaza and of the Palestinians in Gaza. At least as humans, because Gaza is also a test for all of us, we should conclude that we are not in front of a normal state, how the Israeli state perceives itself. So we should conclude that without the punishment of Israel, without understanding Israel and understanding that genocide is an outcome of a process of inaccountability, that this state has been doing what it has doing for 75 years and not just for 1 year. And because there is no accountability, because unconditioned support, because not understanding Israel could do this, could commit this genocide. So understanding and misunderstanding has a fatal consequences. Not understanding Israel has a fatal consequences. The Palestinians pay from their blood, from their lives, because the world doesn't understand Israel. And the first claim that it is a continuation, it is a process. Genocide is not a sudden event which has begun in 7th of October. It cannot be. What Primo Levi said, a Holocaust survivor, a very known novelist and chemist, he said humanity is not defined by our ability to forgive or by our ability, by a positive virtue. Humanity is defined by our ability to put limits to evil. And there's no limits to evil. And this is what we are witnessing now, that it is not evil. It is evil without limits. It's evil without restrictions. So the destiny of Gaza is the destiny of the world. If the West regimes, if Germany and Britain and the USA decided to support genocide, they cannot disconnect themselves from the outcome of this genocide, from a political and not just ethical, from political outcome of the genocide. The destiny of Gaza is a test for the West and for the whole world. If the Palestinians don't just struggle against Israel and against colonialism and against genocide, they also struggle against the support of the Western regime. And Europe is part of this genocide, not less than Israel. Without the support of weapons, of political legitimacy, of ethical legitimacy, you would not face 20,000 children dead. You would not face this unlimited level of destruction. Now, citizenship, the title of my talk. What is citizenship about must be part of the story, and it is not disconnected from a colonial system which aims to de-Palestinize the Palestinians, to turn us into, to delete our subjectivity, our political subjectivity. And citizenship was invented to be a colonial tool, was invented to rewrite my history, to rewrite the geography, to give Jewish biblical names to the Palestinian towns. The majority, Israel has been able to be a Jewish state because of ethnic cleansing, because of expelling 85% of the Palestinians. And I became a minority, not in a natural way, in a criminal way. I was not a minority. I'm not a minority. I didn't immigrate to Israel. It was Israel who decided to immigrate to me. I'm not a minority. Now we are 20% of the population inside Israel, inside 48. We call ourselves Palestinians, 48. We don't call ourselves Arab Palestinians as Israel wants. Because of disconnect, because this is what citizenship is about. To disconnect us from our history, from our people, from our collective memory, and to give names, new names, to towns, to villages, and to ourselves. So after expelling 85% of the Palestinians in 1948, a plan which is Israel now thinking to continue. So genocide is a continuation. Israel has destroyed 574 villages in 1948, not in 2023. 2023 was a continuation. So we became a minority controlled by a colonial legal system. So everything Israel do in the West Bank, it started to do to the Palestinians, to the Palestinian citizens. So if the army confiscate land in the West Bank, it is the democratic laws which is confiscating my land and which is preventing me from studying my history and Palestinian literature in our school system. We pay taxes to the state, but we pay taxes to the state in order to dehumanize ourselves, in order to study about the special connection between the Jews 2,000 years ago and between the Israeli land. I will give you six examples from 65 laws which directly or indirectly discriminate against the Palestinians. So, where are the laws? Okay. Israel, by these laws, by 6 laws relating to land, these laws are connected to every aspect of life: land, planning, housing, education, culture, language, political participation, anything you mentioned. There are laws which engineer a colonialist privileges to the Jews on the expense of the Palestinians. So there are 6 laws targeting the land and aiming at evicting the Palestinians from their land. Israel expelled my people, and till now, she has been confiscating 93% of the land of the Palestinians. Not just those whom it expelled, no, it continued to expel the land from the citizens which she didn't expel. So we are 20% of the population, and we are living upon 2.3% of the land. And the land which Israel confiscated by democratic laws are for the exclusive use of the Jewish citizens. So Israel has built, since 1948, 1,000 village, kibbutz, moshav, towns, city, exclusively for Jewish population. So it destroyed for the Palestinians. It's not Hamas. It's not about terrorism. It's about the existence of the Palestinians. And we are talking about citizens who we don't throw stones. We just speak, demonstrate, participate in the Knesset. We have, I will talk about the Knesset. So, in Israel, there is a special law prevent the Palestinians from buying housing units and plots of land in hundreds of our land, in hundreds of dunums from our land. So Israel defined community towns. Within these community towns, the Palestinians is not allowed to build or to purchase a land. Of course, the law doesn't mention the word Palestinian. The law speaks about social harmony of these communities. So if the Palestinians want to buy land or a housing unit, we will disrupt this social harmony of community towns which are built upon our land. So there is a law for dead Palestinians which permits the police to withhold the bodies of Palestinians killed by Israeli forces and impose restrictions on their funerals. The law applies to the Palestinians in the West Bank, to the Palestinians in Gaza, and to the Palestinian citizens. So Israel knows there is no real Palestinian citizens. We are one people. And yes, we are one people. And yes, we will not allow this citizenship to cut us, the 1.5 million Palestinians who live now as Israeli citizens. And this is the only way to stay in our homeland. We need this citizenship, not because we accept it, not because we admire it, because this is the only one to stay in our homeland. So this is the absurd thing. It is a colonial citizenship, and we struggle in order not to lose the citizenship, because this is also the aim of Israel, to evict us from our homeland. And we find ourselves in the most absurd situation from the other Palestinian parts of our people. We want colonial citizenship, not because we accept it, not because it is a colonialism, but at the end, this is also our homeland. So there is a law for love, for emotions. It bans family unification where one spouse is a Palestinian from 48 citizen yani, and the other is a resident of the West Bank or Gaza or Lebanon or Syria or any state which Israel defined as an enemy state. So I can marry a German and still live, and we can have family unification and live in Nazareth, but I cannot marry a Palestinian from the West Bank, or a refugee, a second generation of a refugee, which is a German now, a German Palestinian, if he has. So there is a laws for books and literature. The law authorizes the interior minister to declare states as enemy state, thus, and it is, and thus restrict cultural relations, including to buy boxes or to participate even in Zoom. Even I don't know if in Zoom, but to buy Arab literature from a Arab state. So also regarding planning and housing, this plan of confiscating the land in order for the Arab villages, in order to prevent the Arab villages and towns and cities not to expand and to put us into sieges, to put us into the smallest regions of lands that Israel can. So still controlling the land, colonizing the land, colonizing our personality, colonizing our identity is part of citizenship. So it is not a matter of a democratic rights. It is not a matter of a deficit in democratic rights. This is not the logic. It is not, because you can also mention a lot of deficiencies in democracies all over the world. It is not a matter of undemocratic state. No, it is a matter of a state which perceives the Palestinians as obstacle of the definition of the state as Jewish state. Because what is the meaning of Jewish state? The meaning of Jewish state is a state which preserves the Jews as a majority. And there is a citizenship law which prevents the Palestinians from returning to the Palestinians whom Israel expelled, to return to their homeland, while it opens its door to any Jews, or even a German citizen can immigrate to Israel, but a Palestinian cannot. So maybe it is not really a Jewish state, is an anti-Palestinian state. If Germans and the British and Scottish and just name it can immigrate to Israel, and the Palestinian is the indigenous people cannot return, we don't immigrate, we return, cannot return to their homeland. So maybe we are not talking just about a Jewish state, is an anti-Palestinian state, because this is the definition of Jewish state. It is not a religion definition, it's a pure secular definition, uses religion discourse. It's a Zionist state, and Zionism means anti-Palestinianism. This is what Zionism means, because I am the indigenous people who didn't immigrate, and you, Israel, choose to come to me, not in order to coexist with me, in order to replace me. So you are developing and cultivating an anti-Palestinian ideology, an anti-Palestinian genocide. So what proof more than genocide one can imagine in order to understand that we are not talking about defense. We are talking about colonialism, brutal colonialism. And colonialism after the end of the era of colonialism is much more dangerous than classical colonialism. Much more dangerous. Because what we are witnessing now is the attempt of Israel with the USA and with the silence of Europe to rewrite the international law and to rewrite the international order in order to defend this kind of colonialism. And this is why, yes, I am the optimal victim, but you also are a victim. Because in order to keep this colonial system, you must abolish ICC and ICG and the International Court of Justice, the International Criminal Court, the UN, the UNRWA, in order to secure this colonialism. So it is not just against Palestinians. Now this colonialism is against the whole world. But with this genocide, of course, the Palestinians are the price we pay is not comparable to the price anyone is paying now. Now, I will give you how the level of normalization that is the Israeli society has reached during the last year. The pervasive normalization of violence within the Israeli society is something also beyond perception. It is not just the brutality of the army and the brutality, the military brutality. It's how the Israeli society normalize with this, is normalizing this genocide. It is as if something ethical she's doing. Okay, okay. You will find in hospitals, in schools, a very direct say or statement that anyone who sympathizes with Gaza has no place in this school or has no place in this factory. Sympathize with Gaza, not with Hamas. So if you are a teacher or employee in any factory, in whatever, you cannot say, I sympathize with the children from both sides. You cannot say this. Even if you want to say, I sympathize with the Israeli children and with the Palestinian children, you has no place. Anyone who criticizes the army, the state, has no place in the work. You cannot open your mouth in this democracy. And this is not vis-a-vis the state, no, vis-a-vis your colleagues. If my friend is working in a factory, let's say, she cannot talk. The Israeli society perceive themselves as a police vis-a-vis the Palestinian citizens. They are now the state. The society is the sovereign. The society is the suppressive sovereign. It is a police follow and persecute their Palestinian colleagues, their Palestinian students, their Palestinian teachers, their Palestinian professors, and they recording you or preventing you. And there has been incidents of firing Palestinian employees, persecuting them. And you can hear sentences like the Arabs, they don't say Palestinians, they don't define us as a Palestinian, If you say Palestinians, it is a terrorist act. If you identify yourself as a Palestinian, it is a terrorist act. And it is not, it's during the 70 years. It is not just now. Even you can imagine a more relaxable period. When I was in the university, the first day in my study, we introduce ourselves, and I say, I am Haneen from Nazareth, a Palestinian. And it's like a bomb in the classroom. What? Are you a Palestinian? Okay, come. You are welcome to define me. So the Arabs are even bigger terrorists than those in Gaza. This is a sentence. It is part of the discourse. Why we are bigger terrorists? Because we should be thankful for the state, because it didn't expel us, it didn't kill us. This is the normal choice, to kill us, to expel us, but it didn't. So we should be thankful. And by not identifying with the state, we are bigger terrorists than those in Gaza. So the atmosphere is totally militarized. And do I have time? Because I need, yeah? I don't, okay. Okay. Now, what is our proposal for this society? What we should conclude from this understanding? We should conclude two very important things. I already mentioned one of them, that we cannot expect an internal change from within the Israeli society. There is no criticism. There is enthusiasm towards genocide and denial. Sometimes it's a denial strategy. Sometimes it's they are proud of this genocide. So there are different strategies how the Israeli society deals with genocide, but none of them is critical to genocide. None of them consider genocide as crimes against humanity. None of them consider Palestinians as a human being. It is an outcome of 70 years of demonization. And this demonization is also with the support of the Western government and the way the Western police treats demonstrations and treats the Europeans, the European citizens who protest against the Israeli genocide and criminality. So we should impose justice and punishment and accountability is the only way. And all the things which are happening now are results of not putting Israel into this accountability. It's a result of making Israel exceptional in every level. It's exceptional. It can be a victim while she is conducting a genocide, something which I don't know how we can absorb it, how we can live with this nonsense, dangerous nonsense logic that that genocide is to defend yourself. And we can just imagine the destiny of the world accepting this logic and making it a norm. So the only way is to decolonize and to liberate the Palestinians and to decolonize this political and legal system. And as a Palestinian, it's also an obstacle that we don't have a unified political national project. And it's not about two-state or one-state solution. It is not the discussion. The discussion should not be regarding a solution, but regarding rights, the rights of recognition, the right of the Palestinians of self-determination, the right of the Palestinians to be liberated. And we should not give more efforts that we don't have and time for the discussion of one state or two states. But at the end, it will be within one political entity. But this is not the issue. The issue is liberation. The issue is putting Israel under accountability, is to punish Israel, is sanction, to impose sanction. Every relation between Europe, the West, the Far East, and Israel is to support genocide. This is how the Israeli society read it. And the issue of legitimacy is a very crucial issue for the Israeli society. They do care about their legitimacy. And we should send a very clear, we cannot stop the genocide. At least we should send a very clear message that this colonial system is not legitimate and that we don't accept it. And BDS is a very efficient tool for sending this message. And I will end by saying, and I don't want to sound pessimistic, because struggle have nothing to do with pessimism and optimism. Struggle has to do with determination. That now, because of this environment of legitimacy from the side of the Western regimes and the demonstrations and the discourse, the activity of the universities and of organizations like yourself is very, very crucial and important. It sent messages to Palestinians, it sent messages to the Israel, and it's an accumulation of power, an accumulation of a process of delegitimating Israel. But now we should raise our efforts, increase our efforts in order to stop genocide, in order to rebuild Gaza. This is a very important, and it should, I don't know how, and it's so easy, I know it's so easy to say we should, but we must realize that now it is more easy for Israel to continue its genocide than 1 year ago. 1 year ago, Israel was looking for excuses and justifications. No, here is Hamas, and I'm bombing this because Hamas. And now no one is asking Israel why you are still bombing Gaza. There is no Gaza. Why you are still bombing children? Why you are still killing 50 children and women and men every damn day, every day? And Lebanon also part of this aggression, and this aggression will not stop. It will continue to Lebanon because we cannot disconnect the Palestinian issue from the Arab issue. It's an Arab issue at the end, and we have no backup from the Arab nations, because we suffer not just from Israeli colonialism, we suffer from our Arab dictatorships, corrupted and collaborating with Israel. We suffer from the Palestinian Authority. So I know that without a Palestinian unification and without a clear vision of liberation, the absence of this clear vision is an obstacle, and an absence of a Palestinian unified discourse is an obstacle for the struggle. Thank you.
Thank you, Haneen. Now there's time for people to ask questions or make their own contributions. If you want to put your hand up, the thing is being filmed, so if you don't want to be filmed, you can stand over here out of the line of the camera, but the microphones have only got a limited list, so come forward if you want to say something.
Hi, thank you so much for the lecture. I just wanted to ask if you maybe could sum up the 6 laws that you were talking about, because I'm not sure if I got them all, and yeah, thank you very much.
I'd say if anyone else wants to say something now, put your hand up, or we'll ask Haneen to explain about the 6 laws. I don't say. So Haneen, can you say more about the 6 laws?
There is 65 laws, 65, not 6. I just gave you an example. 65 laws which tackle every aspect of life: land, planning, housing, citizenship, political participation, culture, language, religion, family unification. So I will send you, there is a website, I will not repeat, they're more efficient than repeating them, the 6, and in order not to stuck with this 6, because there are 65, I will recommend you to enter Adala website, which has a data bank regarding the 65 with full translation in English about these 65 laws. One law, which I will mention now, which I forgot, is about political participation. I was a parliamentarian, so I should be a witness of the democracy of Israel. But according to the political participation law, the Knesset law, and 2 or 3 laws regarding political participation, no political party can be registered unless it recognizes Israel as a Jewish and democratic law. So the laws of the game say that my political activity and my political practice cannot change the laws of the game, cannot challenge even the laws of the game, which the first law is the definition of Israel. So I cannot challenge the essence, the function of the state as a colonialist. If I cannot by law, so what's the meaning of being a parliamentarian? If I cannot challenge the essence, the function of the state as preserving the superiority of the Jews on the expense of the Palestinians. This is the meaning of Jewish state. I say it is not a religious meaning. It is a secular colonialist meaning, that the Jews should have privileges on the expense of the Palestinians. The land is for the Jews, housing planning for the Jews. We are guests at the best definition, we are guests. But actually we are enemies and obstacles, because we define, and our political praxis is towards our rebuilding our connection to our people and to our homeland, and for equality. And equality in Israel is a threat. Democracy in Israel is a threat. If I cannot challenge a colonial definition, if I cannot challenge the Jewish superiority and my struggle for democracy is perceived as a threat. So in Israel, being a democratic is being against the law. So struggle for democracy. I was a member in the National Democratic Assembly, the political platform of this party. And you will ask me, how come Israel? So you had a permission as a party, and you are calling for a different platform. Our platform was a state for all of its citizens. And in 2000, and every election, there was a call for a demand to the court to dequalify the National Democratic Assembly because we don't accept the state as a Jewish and democratic state. But the answer of the court was then, and we think that it will, if that things changing now, changing since from the last 10 years. The answer of the court was, okay, there is no sophistication, a false sophistication, that there is no contradiction between a state for all of citizens and a Jewish and a democratic state. But there is. But it was so embarrassing to the court. Then 2003, 30 years ago, things were different. Although we are talking about colonially, but the policy of this colonialist system is changing. The policy, the practices, and the norms. So by this political participation, you cannot, as a Palestinian, work to democratize the state. You will be illegal. So I recommend you to enter Adala website. It's adalah.org. They have a database of 65 laws regarding land, housing, as I said, etc., everything. For example, in the education system, we cannot study about Nakba. We cannot mention the word Nakba. We cannot say that Israel expelled 85%. No, there are goals for education system. And the central goal within this education law is to recognize the special relation between the Jews and Eretz Israel land. What about the Palestinians? How we mention within education law in one article talking about we should cultivate a peaceful we. Who are the we? It is not me, it is the Jews. We should cultivate peaceful and good relation with the Arab nations. And I don't mention that. The Palestinians are not mentioned that there within the education law. Of course, the Israeli formal discourse talks about religions. So we are religious community. We are Muslims, we are Christians, we are Druze, we are Jews. Or there is Jews and non-Jews. Or there is Jews and Arab Israelis. So the identity, the formal perception of the Palestinians is to depoliticize their definition, to depoliticize their identity, to de-Palestinize their identity. I am either Arab Israelis, maybe I am Arab, sometimes not Jews, sometimes Christian or Muslim, but I am not a Palestinian. And I don't have historical roots. I have been created suddenly in 1948. So I own my existence and I owe my existence, and I owe my living to Israel. Because according to the Israeli narrative, I was created in 1948. Nothing. I don't exist before 1948.
Okay, would anybody else like to ask a question or make a statement? If you do, put your hand up or come to the front.
I have a little question.
Certainly.
Hi, Haneen. Thank you for coming today. I was wondering, someone talked yesterday about Matzpen, so a socialist, like a student movement, or anti-Zionist, I think always like Jewish Israelis. And I was wondering now, but also maybe historically since 1948, have there been any movements or any things happening within Jewish Israeli society where a proper democratization of Israel and Palestine, the actual, has there been anything like this that you've seen or that's there now that you can see that could be, all the things you're talking about could be kind of used or working together could be somehow found? Maybe some more critical socialist groups, maybe some other movements in the past that then failed or now that are still kind of growing. I'd be really curious to hear about that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I would say as we're running out of time, I'd say a last chance for anyone else to ask, and then Haneen will answer this question about Matzpen Jewish organizations. And then, yeah.
Hi, thank you for your talk. I was reading this book called Neither Settler Nor Native from Mahmoud Mamdani. And he's talking about nation states and the making of the permanent majority and the permanent minority. And this idea is an extremely European idea, and it's a really old idea. And it's going to be really, really difficult to kill, I think. So I'm a cynic, but I think what I wanted to say here is that Germany is a very strange place because while it normalizes Israel, it automatically normalizes their own Nazi party, which is the AfD, because they're saying Deutschland den Deutschen, Ausländer raus, which is basically the same thing. And I don't know why they don't wake up to it.
Thank you. Last chance for anyone else. That's two questions, one about Matzpen and Jewish organizations, one about Germany being a strange place.
Okay. The second one was not a question.
One last question, then you can come back on everything.
I have also a question. I was wondering what your prognosis is for the future of Palestine right now, because you said like it has changed. It's not easy. Like it got like a little bit less easy for Netanyahu, like continue his work, but in the same time, there is like more conflicts, more also terrorist attacks on Lebanon. So what is your prognosis if we continue like this? And on the other side, like more than 80% of the Germans are against the weapons sending, Lieferung, like to Israel. So let me say we would like stop it as Germany, but Turkey would continue to send the weapons. Like, what is your prognosis on this? Like, what do you think? Like, which two options or three options do you consider for the future of Palestine?
Okay, now Haneen, if you can answer those questions, and then we'll have to draw to a close, I'm afraid, because we're running out of time.
Yeah, thank you for the question. The first one, they are very important, but the second one was not a question. I didn't understand it as a question, but as I don't know. It's about Germany, so I can ask you about Germany. I don't know. But about anti-Zionist, thank you for raising this point, because yes, when I talked about the Israeli society, there are exceptions, maybe not organized well enough. Matzpen now is not an active organization, and within this militarized society, you can conclude how difficult for anti-Zionists to be active inside Israel and within the Israeli society. I have friends whom their family and their colleagues have cut their relationship with them. They are more isolated than the Palestinians. And there are, I know about informal groups of anti-Zionists who they have no freedom to express themselves, like me, like the Palestinians. It is not a matter that the Jewish who is critical about the genocide has more freedom than the Palestinians, no. But the consequences will be different, will be less harmful than the consequences if the Palestinians went to demonstrate. And because of this, when I talk, I don't enter to this high resolution, into these details, because at the end, what matters and what will affect the internal dynamics of the Israeli society is what happens. It is the pressure which we can put upon this society from outside. What is really matter is the international community and the international dynamics. And things I cannot imagine a real activity within the Israeli society without the help and without the support. And this is why your activism, this is why the demonstration, the solidarity campaign, the anti-war organization, the support for the Palestinians, the calls to stop selling weapons to Israel, stop military relationships, stop commercial relationships, and the BDS is so important because they will determine what will happen inside within the Israeli society. I think that a lot is silent. I don't know if a lot or what. I don't really know the statistics. The majority supporting genocide, but there is no dynamic for the minority to expand itself or to strengthen itself or to be vocal or to expose its discourse to the rest of the society. There is no internal dynamics inside a very, very extreme Israeli society which really believe of the demonization of the Palestinian. So just to conclude, because I'm repeating myself, the international dynamics will determine the internal dynamics of the Israeli society. And if you said that 80% of the German society support to stop sending weapons to Israel and militarizing Israel, then the minute it can come to implementation or near implementation is the minute which we can witness different dynamics within the Israeli society. But there is a topic that I didn't mention, is the internal contradiction of the Israeli society. Because what Israel has reached a point which it cannot or it will not be easy to manage the internal contradiction of the colonialist system. This means that what 7th of October and genocide did is to is to not to stop, I don't know the word, to stop the normality and the normalcy of the state. Stopping the normality and the normalcy of colonization is a turning point. And Israel is reaching this turning point. It is not a normal state. Support it, whether you support it or not, it is not a normal state. You can, Germany or Europeans can, European regimes, of course, regimes, can continue supporting it. But it's so obvious that Israel is facing its truth. The truth that it is not a normal political project. It's an abnormal. And this abnormality is also an internal Israeli question. It's basically an internal Israeli question. The middle class, which supporting genocide, will face a very different and difficult questions the day after the war, which we don't see this day after the war, the day after. And this is also maybe one reason why Israel is not stopping that genocide, because you already annihilate Gaza. There is no Gaza. And there is starvation and there is nothing that you can fight against. So why you are keep fighting and expanding and Lebanon and Iran? Because it will be so difficult. I hope I am right. It will be so difficult for Israel to face the day after, because the day after is the contradiction of colonialism. The middle class, the Israeli middle class, will face a different state. Of course, this normalcy has begun to be diluted after 2018 with Israel as a national state, but maybe it is not how the Israeli society perceives it. But you have now a right-wing fascist Israeli state. And this is not the state that the middle colonialist Israeli wants to live in. And the strength of, now we will face a dowry fascist, failed state. The secret of the strength of Israel is the way it maneuvered and could manage the contradiction between colonialist and democratic, colonialist state and democratic state. But this come to its end. Israel could not maneuver between these two. It is now a pure colonialist, fascist, right-wing, fundamentalist, whatever, messianic state. And this is not the image of the state that the middle class wants. It is, Israel has been proud of itself as a high-tech society, as a nation state, high-tech, or so they have some expression. Yeah, a nation, okay, a high-tech society, but and a strong economy, and a secular society, and democratic society toward the Jews. Now it finished. It will be a right-wing fascist, and this is a big question, raising pushing the struggle of the Palestinian has pushed the state towards the extreme of its contradiction. And we will face a different state which cannot normalize itself, not toward the international community, but also it cannot normalize itself internally towards its own society. That's it.
Thank you, Haneen, and thank you, everybody. Yeah, clap, people, clap.
Regarding the third question, the future of the Palestinians, I don't think about scenarios. I cannot foresee. Activism is to deal with the present struggle and determination and punishment and continue the last decision of the ICC and ICG is very, very important, and we should confiscate above the question how to continue delegitimating this colonial system. And yeah, that's it. I have no other words.
Thank you. And the unframe conference isn't over yet, so we'll carry on having this and other discussions both today and in the continuing weeks and months. Thank you, Haneen.
Thank you.